Welcome back to my hometown. Thanks for taking a little time to stop by and visit with us today. I'm excited to have my guest today. She was born and raised in Montague. She is moved to Bowie shortly after being married. She is the CEO, the handyman, the PR person, the HR person, the head decorator, and owner of Creative Cakes for the past 16 years. So please welcome my guest today, Miss Angie Meyers. Thank you, Angie, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And so I put all those things because as small business owners know, we are all of those and so much more. Mm-hmm. You forgot the janitor. You forgot the marketing, social media, all that stuff.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's very challenging wearing all those hats for a small business. So you were born and raised in Montague.
Yes.
And then you went to high school
in
here
Bowie.
In Bowie. Mm-hmm. So then you moved to Bowie when you got married. How long have you been married?
We've been married 27 years, almost 28.
So and married to Corey. Did you meet him at Bowie BHS?
No, we actually did not meet in high school. He was 2 years younger than me. We had one class together, and I never spoke a word to him. We met after I graduated. He was still in high school. So.
And then you got married?
Then we got married. We were living in Montague when we got married. We have a son, and we eventually bought a house in Bowie. So.
And then so after graduating high school, what did you do in getting married?
Oh, Lord. I spent about 24 hours at a cooking school in Rhode Island and decided that's not what I wanted to do. So I came back to Bowie and just started working, taking college classes, and didn't really have a direction in life, just, part-time jobs here and there. And then, we get married and have a child. So, things kind of get put on the back burner, but I still did cakes for family and friends on the side, just to make a little extra money and just for fun. My mom taught me to decorate cakes, so she decorated her first wedding cake when she was pregnant with me.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's kind of in my blood, really. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, everybody's mom decorated cakes. It was Wilton had classes all over the place, and everybody's mom knew how to do something.
That's where Kim learned how to decorate cakes.
Exactly,
was from her aunts and grandma.
Yeah, it was very, very popular. Yes. So I learned it from her, but I used that to, kind of supplement our income because, when you're young, you don't have college degrees, and you're very young and married with a small child. You do what you can to make money, and that's what I did. So what was it about when you were in Rhode Island at cooking school that you thought this is not? Because that was not baking; it was actually cooking. It was everything. It was a hospitality school where they taught you everything from the business end of it to the cooking end of it. But I had not been there 20 minutes, and somebody was making fun of me because I was from Texas. It was the first time I'd been that far away from home, and I knew immediately. And people would probably say, "Oh, you should have toughed it out." I probably should have, but my life wouldn't be where it's at right now if I had of. And this was God's plan for me. I will always say this is what He had for me. So. It worked out way better than I ever could have dreamed. So a degree doesn't help you with that.
And so 16 years, you had only been married 10 years, right? 9 years?
Something
Married 27 years?
Yes.
So been married 9 years when you...
Well, no, it was longer than that. It was about... Yeah, I can't even remember dates anymore.
11 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I can't math.
Yeah.
So, yes. So...
Yeah. Because my son was in junior high when I bought it.
But, I mean, a good amount of your marriage
has been this.
Family life has been
this.
Owning Creative Cakes.
Yes. My poor son. He was a latchkey kid after I bought this place.
So, as I think all small business owners would know that, when you have young ones, there's a lot of things that happen. I mean, like I remember at the gym, we had a lot of birthday parties for the kids because I couldn't get home, and so we have it there.
Yeah.
So, going back, Creative Cakes has been around for...
It's over 50 years old. I bought it from Margaret Nord, and she had it, when I bought it from her, I think it was a little over 30 years old. So, and it started in her home, and then she, bought a home, and that she did it out of by herself, as her business. And then she bought this, and she owned this building and everything for 3 years before I bought it from her. And back then it had the salad bar and the lunch thing too. So,
and so how do you come to that decision that you want to buy businessman by Creative Cakes. And how does that conversation come about? That
it was a weird thing, and I credit my friend Lynette Cordell with that, because we were driving around eating lunch. We both worked at the elementary school at that time, and we drove past the building, and she said, "When are you going to go to work for Margaret?" She's like, "Why are you working at the elementary school? This is what you want to do." And I said, I don't have the money to buy a business. I said, I can't even imagine. I was terrified. The thought of it terrified me. She pulled into the parking lot and dragged me into the building to talk to Margaret. And the first thing Margaret said to me was, "What took you so long?" Mm-hmm. So that's why I will always say it was a God thing and a Lynette Cordell thing, because she's the only reason I have this right now. Because I never would have had the gumption to walk in here and do that without her. Mm-hmm. So, and my husband backing me. We'll go and give Corey a little bit of credit.
Saying, go. You need
I
to
never
do
would have made that first step if it hadn't been for her.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I spent my lunch break one day going, "Oh my gosh, I can't." I could feel my heart pounding. I was like, "There's no way I can buy this business." And she's like, "Yeah, there can. Yeah, you can." Mm-hmm. So that started the process. That was in early September, and by the end of October, I had left the school.
Wow, that was quick then.
Yeah, I got approved for a loan, and I went to work for Margaret the entire month of November and December, because that was part of the deal with her. She wanted to train me. She wanted to show me everything, and that was the best thing I could have ever done. If you're in a business, work for the person you're buying it from, because they're going to know things that it's going to take you many bad decisions to find out. And she saved me a lot of heartache. So.
And that's a very good point. That, I've done a lot of interviews with small business owners, and nobody has said that, mentor with the person you're buying it from. Yeah. Or if you're selling it, mentor that person. If because a business that has been around for 30 years when you bought it, that's a name you want to carry on. So
most definitely,
as a business owner, it's not that Margaret wanted to close the business.
No,
she wanted to see the business carry on.
She did, and I think that's hard for people to understand. Is it's not just a building and a business. This was her child. This was her third child. This is my second child. It is. We don't want to see it. I don't want to see it close. Like, people have asked me, "Well, why don't you just sell the building?" Or if you don't want to do it anymore, like, I don't want to see it close. I have a responsibility to this 50-year-old business and to Margaret to not end it. And I said, and I feel so much responsibility towards that. And that's hard for people to understand until you're in that situation. But this is my other child. My child will tell you I spend more time with this child than him. So
it's sometimes that a challenging responsibility to have.
It is
that
very,
you are carrying on that name that's not just your name that.
Yes. I feel like everything I do also reflects on her, on Margaret as well. So it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of stress.
And so going into when you bought the business, when you came in and talked to her that day, and did you have any business background, I
had a little bit of everything. I was an assistant manager at a fast food restaurant. I had done some bookkeeping for my father in the oil field, and, a little bit here and there. Every little thing I had, every little job I had that I thought didn't amount to much really taught me things up here. I mean, if I hadn't have worked in retail, I wouldn't have known half of what I do just by selling, minor stuff. I said I wouldn't have that little bit of knowledge to help me, or to know that I didn't know enough, then I needed to research it, that, just small things. And Lord knows you need bookkeeping skills if you're going to own your own business. Because you can't pay somebody to do it, because you don't make enough money to do that.
So saying that, because small business owners, and I've talked to, like I said, many of them, we all have the same thing, that it's not because you're making mega bucks. So then what's the reason that you do it?
It's what you love to do, because we both know I am not the cake boss. I'm not going to make a lot of money. You have to love what you do, and you also have to have a spouse that makes money to help pay those bills. Because I tell people all the time, the nice vehicle I drive is not brought to you by Creative Cakes. It is brought to you by Lockheed Martin and my husband, because this is what I love to do, and it pays my bills, and it pays for an employee. It pays the bills up here. Let's be specific.
Yes.
But it will never make me rich. It'll never make me financially rich. So. But I've got to live a dream that I've had since I was 5 years old, and not many people can say that. So,
And did you know that? What was your expectation when you took over the business? Well,
I think my biggest one is, Lord, please don't let me fail. Don't let me close the doors after a year. Lord, don't let this have been a mistake. And there have been many days. And a lot of people don't realize that after about 2 years, I tried to sell it. It was a lot of work. I went from working a 40-hour week job with weekends and holidays and summers off, to working 60, 70-hour weeks. And
probably even more so when it became a holiday or...
oh, yes. I'd work 18-hour days on the weeks of holidays. And it was every day, especially when we served lunch. It was Monday through Friday. So I would spend half the day Saturday delivering wedding cakes, and then half the day Sunday buying groceries just to make lunch for the next week. So I would literally have a half a day off on Saturday and a half a day off on Sunday. And that's stressful to your body. And my body started showing the problems soon. That and the fact that I also weighed way too much. And it's hard not to when you work around food all day long.
And you're working all those hours.
Yes.
And it's very stressful.
I ate 3 meals a day here. I don't, I didn't have a life at home. My husband worked third shift, so I also knew there was, my teenage son who could have cared less if I was at home most of the time, because that's a teenager. So I spent more time up here than I probably should have. So, and that makes for bad decisions food-wise. But...
So, because I think a lot of small business owners fall into that of spending a lot of time in their business, because, like I said, it is a second or third child. And in those early days, a lot of hours. You still spend a lot of hours. How has it changed in the way you look at your business over the years, in the amount of time you spend, and the way you've changed business? Because now, where before you used to serve lunch 5 days a week, now you don't serve lunch at all. What are some of the reasons for changing those things, and how do you now view that differently than you did in the early days?
In the early days, I really wasn't that excited about the lunch part of it, but after doing it for a couple of months, it was really just as enjoyable to me as the bakery part of it, because I got to see a lot of people every day. You get to know your customers. I mean, you walk into Longhorn and they're going to know exactly who you are, whether you're in there once a week or once a month. They know who you are because it's a small town. But after about 10 years of doing that, it's a lot of work. I mean, I would spend 8 hours a day working, preparing for the lunch, and then another 6 to 8 hours decorating cakes. And it was stressful. And it got to the point where we were having employee problems. I couldn't keep employees. Who doesn't want to work 8 to 4 Monday through Friday? I never understood that. With the free meal in there too. But I was having problems getting employees to stay, and I had a really good crew for a while, and they went on to other things, and we really missed them. And so we decided, okay, we went over the books and over and over and over, and I told Corey, I was like, I think I'm going to close the restaurant part of it. He said, well, I'm glad you did. And it was a good decision. It was a good business decision. It was a good personal decision, because it was making money, but not enough to make it okay to spend that many hours up here. So we closed the restaurant part, and oh my gosh, that was a stress relief right there. It was such a breath of fresh air. I could go home at 4 o'clock when I shut the doors. It was really, I wished I'd have done it sooner, but I don't think it would have been it wouldn't have been as good as, it happened when it needed to happen. And that's the way I'll always look at it. But, so we went strictly into just doing the bakery part of it, and that I got to do things that, like, have extra stuff on Fridays. I couldn't do that before. I was basically trying to beat the clock to get cakes and cookies and orders out on Fridays and have lunch at the same time. That made it interesting, especially when we delivered lunches to school. We'd have 100 lunches going, and I'm trying to decorate a cake in the middle of all of that.
And you still have your lunch here.
Yes, yeah. We still have, and that's when I had 5 employees, and we were running around like crazy for like 2 to 3 hours, and I thought, this can't be productive. We just didn't have enough room, so we decided to close that, and it was amazing how how much stress it took off of me. It took, by that time, Corey had gone to first shift, so I actually could have a husband at home. So there was a reason to go home, because by that time our son had left, had moved out. So, but he's back. So that was probably one of the best decisions. So it was, and it's still, I mean, that's been 5 years ago. We stopped serving lunch, and it's still not a week goes by that I don't have one or two people walk in or call and ask what's for lunch.
So that means they haven't been in a while.
No.
So I mean, when you go from, so I think sometimes as small businesses, 5 employees, you're serving 100 plus lunches at the school. I mean, you're seeing a lot of activity, and you probably feel pretty successful because of busyness. So what does that do? How do you feel when it goes down to one employee? I assume you have one employee now?
I have one part-time employee, yeah.
Part-time. So, and I'm sure those were part-time, some were full-time.
They were all full-time at that point.
Yeah. So how does that work on your thought process when you go, I went from 5 employees full-time to now just one part-time?
It got really quiet in here. We had we were all very large personalities, and now it's just me and Cynthia, and Cynthia's a very quiet person. And we don't have the hustle and bustle of lunch in here every day. It can get very quiet, so I've become a podcast addict. But I'm where I need to be. It really, as Corey tells me, I'm transitioning to retirement. When that'll happen, I don't know, but So.
And I think that's important, that it's still successful. It just looks different.
It looks different, and you're not spending as much money. It is very expensive to run a restaurant. It's very expensive to run anything food-based, because right off the bat, if you're lucky, you can keep your food costs, just the cost of your food, under 30%. That's 30% of your income. And that's good for a restaurant, is to keep it under 30%. So you think about all the other bills you have to be used for this. That 70% has to be used to pay for that. It's a tightrope to walk, and people are always asking me, why don't you do this? Why don't you add this? Well, that's too expensive. I have to keep things under a certain amount.
And did you do that in the early days? If people said,
No.
you should add this, did you?
I would do it.
Yeah.
I would do anything to please anyone, and you learn real quick that that's not financially feasible. You cannot please everybody all the time. No matter how hard you try, you can't. And and I swear, even when I did the stop serving lunch, I even pared down my menu for the bakery too. I started focusing on just what I was really good at, what I really wanted to do, and stopped doing the other things I knew that were too expensive. Like, I wanted to have cheesecakes at one point. But when I told somebody a cheesecake was going to cost them $50, they nearly had a heart attack. And I was like, but that's what it has to be to make any money off of it. So a few weeks of toying around with that, and I was like, no, never mind. We'll do something else.
and through those years, you have been able to pare it down to do what you're good at. Not to say you're not good at those other things.
It's what you can afford, really. Yeah.
And what you can focus on,
yes,
and even get better at than you were before, and really streamline a business.
Yes, streamlining. That is a very good word.
Because
you have to streamline
because
things.
when we go into business initially, it's like, I'll do everything and anything.
Yes, yeah, you will. And I was doing things, I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm not making any money off of this. Why did I say yes to this? And I would catch myself doing that on wedding cakes. I would tell Corey, I was like, oh, I charge him this. He was like, are you crazy? That's not enough money. And this is one of the reasons why I no longer do wedding cakes. A lot of people still don't know that. I will do wedding cakes, smaller ones that they can pick up, but I no longer deliver wedding cakes on the weekends, because when I came to the realization, I get a bakery catalog or magazine every month, and it's very informative for businesses, especially when mine is a very niche market. And they were talking about different regions of the United States and how much each base price of a wedding cake should be. And our region, a base price for a wedding cake to feed 75 people should be $1,200. And I was charging not near that. And I was like,
maybe a quarter of that.
Oh, yeah, maybe. And that's delivery. I mean, this is not even including delivery. And I was like, oh my gosh. You know, and I talk everything with Corey because Corey's name's on the business too. He's actually worked here for a little while too. But I thought, there's no way I can charge people in Montague County $1,200. They're not going to accept that. I said, and even if they do, it's going to cause problems. I'm going to have a lot of angry feedback. I can already tell this. I can't. I said, I think I'm just not going to do them anymore. I said, Corey's like, well, I'm okay with that. I was like, I know you are, because he most of the time would go with me on wedding cake deliveries on the weekend. So he was more than happy to have all of his Saturdays back. So, and again, it was another decision that was a good one for me at that point, and it's where I'm supposed to be. I'm a lot happier person having a whole weekend off.
And I'm sure it makes you more productive and better attitude during the week.
It does,
because that is very draining, all those hours that you spend.
Very much so, yeah.
And dealing with customers, they do get draining.
I love my customers, I really do, but it's a very demanding job. I mean, it's very demanding. And when COVID hit and everything went to a lot of social media ordering and social media contact with your customers, because nobody wanted to have contact with anybody, that was exhausting to me, because it kind of carried over after I opened back up. And for somebody that does it out of their house, like when I did it out of my house, it would have been an awesome thing for me to have that social media contact with people. Because when I did it out of my house, we didn't even have texting. So, but it also was very draining for me as well, because I had no time off. People were messaging me through Facebook and Instagram and texting me and calling me. And while I'm very, very flattered and very thankful for those customers, you have to have time off. You have to have time away. And I'm a type A personality. If there's something on my checklist I need to do, and then that includes answering a message on a social media, I cannot not answer it. That's just who I am. So I had to stop. I had to start making boundaries, saying, okay, call me on Tuesday when I open up for regular business hours. You know, I'm out of the office this weekend.
So anymore, you don't take orders via social media?
I don't, for that reason mainly, but also if you call and order a cake, it literally may take 2 minutes on the phone. If we message back and forth on social media, it could take all day long to get information that I could have gotten in a 1-minute phone call. And I think some things get lost in translation over social media, that it's hard for people to understand. It's easier for me to explain things in person or over the phone than it is to try and send pictures back and forth, and it just takes a whole lot less time. And I guess I'm old school in that way. Just call me and we'll talk about it.
But I see it from a customer standpoint. As a customer wanting the best product they can get, you're saying that the best way I can do that is by us having a conversation.
Most definitely.
You're going to get exactly
I'm telling
what you want.
And especially with Facebook and Instagram, they govern what a business can see, somebody else can see from a business. They kind of put blinders on. They hide your posts. And I've had somebody send me a message through either one of them, and it'll be 2 days before I get it, because I don't pay to advertise. I don't pay to boost posts on Facebook, so they hide stuff from me. They, delay delivery of messages and stuff. So, and I understand they're a business too, but I'm not paying for it. So, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want somebody's message to get, or order to get lost in all of that. That's why I don't take them over email either, because it's constantly getting sent to my spam folder. Just the other day, found one in my spam folder somebody tried to order like 6 months ago. Never heard a thing from them. I guess they thought because I didn't message them back
and they're thinking, wow,
I don't want the business. Well, no, I just didn't get your message. So it's always better to call. And to me, unless the business tells you, just message me, always call or go by. That's the best way to do it. Face-to-face is always the best way, but over the phone is also just as good. And we don't mind. There are some exceptions to taking orders online. It's just, for me, I feel safer knowing that I've talked to you personally, or Cynthia's talked to you, because she's going to ask you questions that you didn't think about to ask, because she's been doing it. I mean, she's worked for me for 15 years, so she knows what to ask before I do half the time. I mean, I will hang up the phone and forget to get people's phone number all the time. Just like you forgot their number. I'm like, I think I have it in my phone. Hang on. So
really, it's not, you can send a message, but chances are you may not get a response. So the best thing is to call or come
always,
by, visit.
Yes, and it's not just, I mean, I'm not ignoring your message. I just may not see it for a couple of days.
And so don't take it as that.
No, please don't. That's because that's not what it is. Because if most of the time I do respond, not most of the time, all the time. If I get a message, I do respond. You know, give me a call and we'll talk about it. Because I've really, you know, I know it's just a cake, but it's my job. I want to know all the details. And like I said, I may have an idea that you may not have thought of, and there's details that we need to know that you may not have thought of. So.
And it's really to give the customer the best experience they can get and get exactly what they want. Because I agree. I think in messaging back and forth, what you want can get lost in translation.
Yes, most definitely.
You know, as I hear you talk, I think it's interesting how you have crafted your business to fit your life.
You have to.
Instead of in the beginning, you crafted your life to fit your business. You now get to leave at a normal time.
Yes.
They call or come in to order. You got rid of some things that, yes, they were making money, but they're causing a lot of time and a lot of expenses that you can cut those down, which makes your life less stressful.
Yes, most definitely.
As a business owner. So I think it's just as we're young and we grow up to teens and adults, we mature. And I think we mature in business.
Yes. I'm a people pleaser too. I have always been a people pleaser. And all that makes you is crying on the floor at 2 o'clock in the morning in the bakery because you can't get it all done in the amount of time you need to.
and clients and customers may think, well, just not getting your stuff done. No, it's not that. It's just you're trying to please everybody, and that's very hard to do.
Yes, it is impossible.
Because it's not like it's not because you're wallowing in your stacks of money back there.
No.
Because my goal is always to really impress upon our customers that our small businesses are truly because of the passion that we have for it.
Yeah.
And so when we interact with them, it's truly because we have a passion, not because we're trying to get their dollars from them.
Yes.
You know, it's not, I'm not going to charge $50 for a cheesecake because I just like doing that. It's because that's what they cost with labor, food cost, everything else goes into that. You know, I always send everybody a questionnaire, just kind of have an idea. And I asked you, you know, what you liked about our community. One of the things you said was it's a family, warts and all. And I really like that. But what do you mean by that?
I mean that, you know, there's lots of...
Because I think it's very honest.
I'm trying to be very diplomatic, too. You know, there's lots of Facebook pages where people get on and complain about Bowie constantly. And I feel like I'm watching a fight at a family reunion half the time. I don't generally read them, but sometimes when I catch one, it's like, oh, Lord. But... When COVID happened, and then when the tornado happened, and tornado number one, it didn't matter who you were, whose side you took, what stance you took on what. Everybody was helping everybody, and that's all that mattered. So anybody, I mean, if someone passes away, it doesn't matter. People will still send you condolences. They will still help. And like I said, after the tornado, there was not a business in this downtown that was not affected by that. And I saw, just like I was telling you a while ago, I saw so many citizens see our downtown and our small business owners in a different light after that, because they saw us just as struggling people, not as a rich business owner, because 99% of us are not rich business owners. We are just making it like everybody else is. Our paycheck just comes from us instead of somebody else. If we're lucky enough to get one that month.
Paycheck.
Yes, yeah. And, you know, and I think a lot of people in Bowie don't really see that. And after the tornado, I think they did, because they started realizing that, oh, these people their businesses aren't open. That money's not coming in. Their paychecks aren't coming in. So I think a lot of people saw it differently after that. So that was a learning experience. And I was one of the few businesses in downtown that was still open, was still able to be open. Now, you can walk into my back room and see daylight because half my roof was gone and half the brick on the side of my building was gone, but I was very lucky compared to everybody else.
Because it came right by you, went through
It came
Timber Creek.
right down here, and I mean, Brad and Deanne Sherman, oh my gosh, I was like, holy cow, their building's gone. And the building next to me, it blew in the back of their building and blew out their front window and blew everything that was in their building out into the middle of the street. And mine, I mean, we pulled up to that at 11 o'clock at night, and I thought, my building's going to be gone. All the windows are going to be out. And when I first saw, we came around behind and I saw the brick laying in the parking lot, I thought, oh my gosh, my whole wall's gone. And then you pull up and I realized, no, it's not. And we had still electricity. So those people that complain about city bill electricity really should be thankful.
As I share with the mayor, I've been in business 12 years. I think my electricity has maybe gone off once or twice at the gym in all those years.
Yeah, I have no.
And one of them was I think it was with the tornado. It was back on in no time. So
yeah, we never lost it at all in that whole process. Well, I take that back. We lost it when they had to reset my pole behind the building because it was leaning over. But other than that, I mean, I've had very good experiences. So, and a small town has to be like a family. There ain't enough people here to lean on just your little core group of friends and family. You have to have everybody.
And I think that's great. That is family because, I mean, we all have family, and it's not always great times in family. We bicker, we argue, but we're still family.
Yes. If somebody needs something, it doesn't matter if, you had a arguing match on Facebook the week before. If you're in dire need of something, they're going to help. So,
and it does make our community special.
It does. And I think so many people have lived in Bowie their whole life, because I grew up in the small town and moved to the big city of Bowie. They don't realize how lucky we are. We are very lucky to have this town, to be as close as we are. I just told somebody yesterday, somebody said, you're kin to everybody in this town. I said, when I started high school, I was kin to nobody in this town. I said, I can't throw a rock now without hitting a cousin. So it really is family for me. So.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, we talked about the building and the brick coming off. So on the side of your building now, you have artwork that says Bowie. It's what we use for the podcast cover on beginning of YouTube and all that. And that were you the first building to have that painted?
No. The Scoop Shack was the first mural.
Okay.
And that's where I met Rachel and Roger. And saw him do that. And I think he was starting some other projects in downtown. I can't remember what else he was doing, but I talked to him one day and I showed him, because I'd rented out, because Corey and I like to travel, and I love roadside oddities, and I make him stop and take pictures of stuff like that all the time. And I kept telling him, I want to do this on the side of the building. It's like, I have this huge open space. I want to do something like that. Because I don't have lunch anymore. I have time to do stuff like this. I have time to think of things like this.
And it does open up your thinking space.
It does. And we had started traveling more because I, wasn't working 70 hours a week. And I told him, we were in Galveston, and I was looking at the one close to the seawall down there, or close to downtown down there. And I said, I want to do this. And I kind of crudely drew up something, and I showed it to Roger. He goes, yeah, I can do that exactly. He's like, no, Roger, not exactly. I want you to do it. So, and he's like, yeah, we can do that. I mean, and they had it sketched out. He started 2 weeks later, and they had it done in a week, maybe. I mean, it was, they're amazing.
And how long has it been on the side of the building?
2 years. Yeah, because they started, almost 3 years. Because they started, I want to say in June or July, because they I originally was going to talk to them. I kind of got delayed talking to them about it, which was a good thing, because they would have started on it before the tornado hit. And the tornado would have taken most of it off if I'd have done it earlier. So another God moment. So they would have had to redo it. So
do you have many people stop by and take a picture in front of it?
We do have lots of people. Lots of senior pictures. Lots of Christmas cards. Lots of Christmas cards, especially the first year. Lots of people from out of town. And I've recently read about RV boondocking, where they just basically spend the night, kind of like they do in Walmart parking lots. Just a safe space for them to pull over. And, you don't charge them anything. But I'm thinking about doing that, just because that sign will bring in more people, because it's a little bit of an oddity, just for an RV, family in an RV to pull over and just spend the night in a safe place.
So you just stay in the side parking lot?
Yeah, just side parking lot, even behind the building. So
and be there. And
yeah. So anything to bring anything to downtown.
Yeah, because I think there's 4 or 5 maybe of the murals. I think there's a couple that say Bowie, one that says Coca-Cola, one that's a Texas flag. James Dean. Is that right, James Dean?
Yeah.
On the side of the building? Yeah. I think the Works have done all of them.
Yeah, they've done all of them that I know of, yeah.
So it really has oddities.
Yes. Well, and you think about it, we've had them on the side of our buildings when M.H. Henry did them 30, 40 years ago. To me,
he was the original.
He was the original, and he was doing them all over town. And, you know, I was really sad, especially the one next to the post office, to see it deteriorating and not being able to be, you know, kept up or repainted. And when they started doing that, I thought, well, we have our own generation. We have our own artists in this generation to do that. So,
because I think it is neat that it does bring people to our community, whether it's to see the knife.
Yes.
Whether it's come take a picture next to the murals around town. It's just something that gets them in our downtown.
Yes.
To spend time with our businesses.
People really don't realize how much business I get because of that knife. I've had a couple and their son from Italy stop and take a picture of the knife. And they came and spent all kinds of money downtown because they were on their way to Amarillo to see their daughter in college. And I mean, they stayed in here probably 30, 40 minutes just talking and eating a cupcake and, you know, asking questions. It was a little interesting because the son was the only one that spoke English. And I've had three, I just came up on my Facebook memories this morning, 3 ladies from Pennsylvania that were just going across country and stopped in, took a picture at the knife, came in for a cupcake. And I mean, I know that people don't see that as a whole lot of money spent in downtown, but even that little bit helps. Every little bit helps.
And the more people that come, now social media, the more people that post it.
Yes.
The more, as Brad and Deanne talked the other week about a destination place.
Yes, yes.
You know, it's so, you know, for Bowie to be a destination location where people from out of area come spend money with our local businesses, enjoy it, take pictures, share them, and then they're on their way.
Yeah, Granbury didn't start out as, you know, the big thing it is now. Waxahachie didn't start out as the big thing it is now. You start a little at a time. So,
and I think in recent years we've made big strides in that.
Yeah, I had somebody ask a couple of years ago when one of the first VRBOs went into Bowie, and they're like, why would you need a VRBO in Bowie? I said, eventually we're going to be covered in VRBOs in Bowie because people in the Metroplex don't have that small town to go home to every day like we do. We take that for granted, and they want a little piece of that.
And we gripe and complain because we have to wait 2 lights before we get through now. We gripe and complain because we have this knife.
And I still don't understand that. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to complain about.
But all these things that we gripe and complain about, other people come to our community and go, that's pretty cool. And Kim and I like to travel just as you and Corey do, and we like to go look at that goofy stuff.
I do. My friends, well, I won't tell you what my friends call me, but I am a trip planner, and that's what I do. Wherever destination we're going, I will get online and I will check, and I make them, whatever is on the roadside thing to stop at. Like I've made them stop at the Cadillacs in Amarillo. They were not happy with me, but we stopped. We took a picture.
And all it is some Cadillacs
does not smell very great out there either, but we still stopped. And I make them stop anytime we go to a different state. We take a picture at the state line. And now they're all like, wait, we just passed a state sign. We already have one of those. We don't stop at that one. So, they'll tell you all the time that I'm running them on a tight agenda when we're traveling.
What can we do as a community to help our small businesses and help our downtown, help our community?
I know it sounds cliche, just shop local. You know, don't drive to Decatur and go to Lowe's to get something you could have got at Ace Hardware. Don't go to, buy something at Amazon. People think I'm crazy. I do not have an Amazon account. I've never purchased anything on Amazon.
That's amazing.
Ever. I also don't do digital currency, which is a whole nother story. But just buy things local. Just look for it local before you go anywhere else. Most of the businesses downtown, not me, but most of the businesses downtown have their own websites. Go to their website. If it's at night and on the weekends, look at their website and see if they have it. They'll put it back for you. You just have to do it. Run by and pick it up. That's all you have to do. Just support your local businesses first. If you can't get it here, because you can't get everything here, but come here first and then try somewhere else.
And by supporting it means that it may cost a few dollars more.
Yes.
But understand that is directly helping the small business in the
Yes.
community you live in.
Yes.
It's not going into an executive's pocket.
No.
It's going into the business owner that's going to spend it at the next business.
Yes. Yep.
And when we circulate those dollars in our community, it makes a huge difference in our community.
That is one thing I learned. One very big thing I learned buying a business, not to mention how to pay a lot of taxes, is where the money goes. What money you're paying as a business. Well, sales tax. The 4 different kinds of taxes we pay every quarter and year. Where it goes. I think a lot of people don't understand where certain taxes go. I mean, I've had to explain to people before that, not all the sales tax goes to the city of Bowie. This percentage goes to the state, this percentage goes to Bowie. No, it's not a lot. But just understanding things like that I think that really helps people understand where your money goes. And there's not a lot of it to go, but the more you spend in town, the more taxes go to the city, the more that they can do with things with that money, and the more the owner can invest back in their business, hire local people, keep them employed where they're not having to be employed, like you said, by, some larger company that's not going to treat them as well. Those people, you want local people working for you because they're the ones that know everybody walking in the door, and they're going to treat them better than somebody else would. So.
And that's a good point, is that when you spend money locally, it goes into hiring other people locally. It goes into fixing the roads, the streets, the parks, all those things. It goes back into, it's not just that business owner. It affects each of us in return.
Yes,
by spending those dollars.
Yes.
This is the last question, and we've kind of touched on it, but what makes you call Bowie my hometown?
Probably because it's where I went to high school. I feel very comfortable here. I feel like it's my hometown. I know I've lived here 25 years now, 20-something. I can't even remember. Dates are hard now. But, I always tell people I don't have to worry about anybody breaking into my house. And I say that with a grain of salt right now. But, I have neighbors that will call me and tell me, hey, somebody's at your house. I mean, it's the same way up here. I left. I'd owned it about 3 or 4 years, and I get a phone call through Facebook from my mailman's wife. Angie, you left your front door unlocked at the shop. You might want to go lock it. But my mailman came in, locked the door, went out my back door and locked it, because you can lock it from the inside. Locked it for me and left. You're not going to get that in the city. Nobody's going to do that for you. Not at all. So things like that are what makes you feel at home.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely the people make it feel like home. Yes. Well, thank you, Angie, for spending a little time with me and sharing your story of creative cakes and your passion for what you do, because I think it's wonderful and I think our community needs it. So how can they get in contact with you? What's the best way to find you, to talk to you?
You can call us, or you can come by and see us at 104 North Spath, or you can message me on Facebook or Instagram through our business page. We also have Snapchat. Those are ways for me to basically get things out to you. But the best way to get a hold of me is to call me. That's the best way. Call or come by.
Is the best way to.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people work out of town, so I know that's hard sometimes. That's why I do have a little bit of leeway sometimes, if because a lot of people work in the Metroplex, and it's hard. It's hard to get away on your break to make a phone call. So I do make some exceptions in that situation.
And you're open now Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 4. I'm still up here working on Monday, as you can see. I'm still working.
Still working, getting ready for the week.
People always tell me, you don't work on Mondays. No, I'm not open on Mondays. I still work on Mondays.
And that's the truth. I think sometimes small business owners, just because you're not there or you're closed doesn't mean you're not working.
Yes.
It just means that you're probably getting a lot more done because there's not customers coming and going.
Yes.
It's more productive time. So they can find you at the store and give you a call and order cake. So cake, cupcakes, anything they want. And they can, and you post on social media on all those that they can see. The extras you have on Fridays, because on Fridays you have extras.
Yes. I always post what cupcake flavors we have on all of them, but on Fridays I'll post anything we have extra.
So they can check that out. So, well, thank you, Angie, for spending a little time and spending your.
Thanks for visiting Smoky Row.
Yeah, air quotes your day off. Yes. Yeah, so we're working on, that being a big thing. Is this, you're on Smoky Row.
Yeah. It's nice to be there's a bunch of women business owners on Smoky Row. I'm thinking our roles have been a little different when it was called Smoky Row.
Yes. So I'm pretty sure there's just 2 men that have businesses, which is James Scruggs and Terry Gunner.
Yeah, and then Napa. Yeah.
Napa. Yeah. So the rest, and there's a lot more businesses on Smoky Row now than there has been.
Yes. When I first bought it, there were a lot closed. There's a lot more open now. It's not.
There's probably only you and a couple other businesses on Spy Street when you
me and Napa and I guess Martha's Attic. Yeah, there was not a lot of us down here.
So it has really changed.
It has really changed.
Our downtown has really grown.
It has. Yeah.
So you were here before. It was really cool to be here.
Yes, I got to see all of it change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for taking your time today, visiting with us and sharing a little bit of your heart, a little bit of your business with us today. So thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you to each of you for stopping by and visiting with us today. And we're looking forward to seeing you around my hometown.